Hello, everybody. My name is Zane, otherwise known as Swamp Mist,
And I'm Andrew, otherwise known as Big Dick.
and welcome to Taco Table by Topo Table, our wargaming centric discussion podcast. And today is the first episode of our new format, which is weird to say given we've only done a couple, but we realized that spending 2.5 hours talking about stuff and rambling doesn't work. So we're doing list reviews because it's easier to format.
And it's most of what we spend our time talking about anyway?
Yes, this is the two white guys record a podcast. It's fine.
Yes, very much so.
So today is our sisters episode because Andrew is probably just gonna become a competitive sisters player.
Yeah, I think I start competing for the sisters slot. It doesn't hurt that I've been working with Alexis at Norn Queen Alexis to try to hone her list building, and she's like, "You can just use my entire sisters collection." I'm like, I think I became a sisters player.
Yeah, right.
Because the more I build my guard lists, the more I'm sitting here being like, sisters are better.
Yeah, but if you
And
don't go mono faction, you can do both.
Mm-hmm.
And both is probably good. You just tank commanders turns out are a decent enough hammer that it might just work.
I think tank commanders are they're interesting. You can either have like the Catachin build where they're re-rolling one of the dice for each time they fire, right? So the Lehman Russ relic commander, the relic Lehman Russ cannon commander with Hammer of Sunderance. It's firing the Lehman Russ battle cannon twice. So if either one of those is
so weird to me that that's not regiment specific.
Yes, that re-roll. Yeah, the Hammer of Sunderance or what is it? The Emperor's Fist Tank Company Special Detachment out of
it's
Vigilus Defiant.
It's weird to me, given that it's a Vigilus Defiant Specialist Detachment, that it's just doesn't have a requirement of any kind.
So only Lehman Russes in the detachment get the keyword.
Yeah.
But there's no this has to be a specific, because if you look at the fluff on Vigilus, everyone was there.
That's fair, yeah.
So literally every race except for Tyranids and Tau.
There wasn't Tyranids, Tau. I don't think there were Necrons either, if I remember correctly. It was
yeah, that sounds right.
It was like Nids, Tau, and Necrons weren't there, and everyone else was.
And everyone else was there.
So, did Eldar get anything from it?
Eldar got they got a couple detachments that nobody uses. I think they got a Wraith host and a Windrider host. Neither of which are really models that they use right now. The only things that they use for offensive power right now are Shining Spears.
Yeah.
And there's a build that gets a 2-up invul, although I'm not sure if that got changed with the FAQ for Psychic Awakening.
It did not, I checked.
So they have a 2-up invul. Because they can get a 4-up invul. I believe there's an Exarch power that gets down to a 3, and then there's a Psychic power that gets down to a 2, I think.
Sounds correct.
Yeah. And it's really good. What's funny is BiffPod keeps lamenting the existence of it. Colin refuses to build around it because he's like, it's gonna get fact any day now. It's gonna get fact so hard it's just not even gonna exist.
Yeah,
and
but didn't
okay,
BiffPod also weren't? I feel like BiffPod were one of the groups that were expecting all the Forge World options to disappear in chapter approved.
Yeah, they were guard needs to go up to a point. And the thing is the reason why the guard equivalent in so there's Brood Brothers, which is literally a guardsman in Gene Stealer cults.
Yeah.
And there are 4 points because they don't do anything. They're even used less than a guardsman. Mm-hmm. So they should honestly be 3 points. But a neophyte, it's not neophyte hybrid, it's just a neophyte, I think, is a 5-point guardsman that gets all of the Gene Stealer cult abilities.
You pay a point to actually be a part of the army.
Right. And they're really good. Like move and shoot for infantry and -1 to and ignore -1 to AP weapons is one of them, right? And they get all of that.
Yeah.
So I think they're worth that 5 points. Nobody fields them. In Genestealer cults they do acolyte. Yeah, they do acolyte spam. So it's just rock saws to the face. I don't know. I think there's still more stuff in Genestealer cult, but Space Marines is driving everyone else to have to do extreme damage output to try to deal with the extreme damage output that the Space Marines do, which is pushing us to like a 2.5 to 3 turn game right now.
Also, frankly, like Genestealer cult, like just like how much stuff Space Marines have to destroy Genestealer cult basically at list building.
There's like 3 things they have, but they're all spammable.
Yeah. Well,
like
but even just
unit,
like any flamer thing with Auspex span can just like completely.
And an 11-inch range.
Yeah, right. The Centurion builds, right? And we're gonna get to this a little bit later. You bring Flamer Centurions with long range marksmen, and now you just beat Genestealer cult.
Yeah. You spend 220 points to have a 10-man unit of infiltrators that stands across the width, or across the. It does the short width. It wouldn't be the width; it'd be the length, but it'd be perpendicular to the length.
Yeah.
So it'd be the 4. You can do almost a 4-foot span of those infiltrators due to that 12-inch cone around each zone around each one of them.
Yeah,
you
right.
do 2 inches away from them, and they can block an entire third of the board by themselves, and you stick them in the middle of the board.
Yeah, you just destroy them, and then like similarly, Alpha Legion randomly just like got a stratagem that's just like this unit you want to bring in just can't be on the table.
Yeah, can't be within 12 inches of any of my units. Bye. And then Night Lords has the Relic. I think it's a Relic. I can't remember if it's a Warlord Trader or Relic. I think it's a Relic, though. That brings all aura abilities within 12 inches of it down to 1 inch, and you can't deep strike, and you can't be placed on the table within 12 inches.
I think it's 12 for the no deep strike, 6 for the no aura.
Okay. All I do know is that there is currently an interesting moment of what happens if 2 of those are within 6 of each other. And the consensus is the one whose turn it is wins.
Or the other one spends a 2 CP to turn that one off on the other one, because that's another thing Night Lords can do.
Yeah.
Notably, we're definitely doing a chaos list cast, because I have so many ideas.
Yeah, and I have an Alpha Legion army.
Yeah, and I think there's so much good chaos, like in soup, like you soup chaos every time. There's so many builds.
Oh, and what's funny is, a few weeks ago, I randomly found a Mechanicus army. So it just turns out I have like a 2,000 point Mechanicus army just randomly.
But you don't have the Scorpius tank, which is what people think is like the best model in that faction.
Yeah, but you just put like 1 or 2 of those in, they're like $50. It's not that
fair.
What's funny is, I was starting to put the Mechanicus away. I found a Chaos army. I have like 40 Khorne Berserkers.
Ooh.
And I have...
I think you can only use 20 effectively as Alpha Legion, but like...
Oh, I don't think I ever used them. I think I grabbed the 40-ish Terminators that I have from my Loyalist Space Marines and stick chain axes and combi bolters on them. And call them Red Butchers.
Oh, and you have a portion of your army that's war leaders?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Maybe a 10-man...
Because the one thing... Berserkers in Alpha Legion specifically, because you have the cult like the fade away strat.
Yeah, you move up 9 inches before the game starts.
Yeah, but that's for another day. Sorry. No, I mean the Alpha Legion when they pick up a unit.
Oh, they have a deep strike
after.
now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's super good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so something that's been happening in the meta.
Okay, sorry. Go back to meta talk. Yes.
Yeah. So something that's been happening in the meta is that since Space Marines have been coming out, the game has been increasingly going to a 2 to 3 turn meta. What's funny is all the lists that are actually winning are counter to that meta. They are the Tau lists that are doing amazing in the meta right now. because they aren't playing a 1 to 2 turn game to a 3 turn game. They are going to weather whatever you hit them with, and then they are going to win the game on turn 5 and turn 6. And so I've increasingly been like, okay, what list can actually live through that? And the only answer I keep coming back to is Battle Sister spam in Sisters.
And that's why Sisters, and we
Is amazing.
We literally have this in the notes. Sisters is the anvil.
Yeah, they are. Depending on how many. So the first game I played against Alexis, I was playing my 90 guardsmen, 3 tank commanders, and a knight crusader. It's a pretty good list. And she was playing this herpaderp, like zany armored lady list.
Mm-hmm.
So after she won, I realized, one, I should not have put my knight anywhere near her sisters at all, because she neglected to mention how many melta guns she had. What's going on?
Oh, sorry, I said sure shouldn't have. Like, you definitely shouldn't have.
Yeah. So she neglected to mention. She was like, oh, yeah. How many melta guns? She's like, a few. I'm like, okay. And at the time, I just didn't think to ask exactly. Yeah. So something that I think that sisters can do is have battle sister spam with every squad having a combi flamer and 2 melta guns. The reason why you put the combi flamer in is a stratagem called
actually, let's get into that with the lists. We can.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is there anything else we want to talk about in the preamble?
Yeah, I just think that sisters are like the anvil that can take whatever hammer the game has to throw at them.
And I think that's why a lot of our lists are looking like that. Hint, all of them are Virtuous Heart, at least in part. Valorous Heart, sorry. I messed that up. Again, I actually just honestly thought it was Virtuous Heart for a sec. Wow, I just completely farted.
I think like some of the like things that sisters can do as a whole, just real quick. So you do sister spam, and that is you're gonna have sisters with a 3-up save for a pinball. So they always have a good save. You're gonna do 2 canonesses with one was gonna have a null rod and one is a brazier, depending brazier of.
Wait. This is just your list. Don't say your list yet.
Okay, I guess that's too specific. I don't know. I just feel like every sister list will have this, but okay.
Why don't
we just go into your list?
Yeah, we'll start with my list. I was just trying to figure out if there was anything else we wanted to talk about in the preamble. But I think we can talk about that in the wrap-up portion of the chat. Okay, so
talk about the list. It's fine.
So, first list. Let's open it up here. So we have, and these lists will be available for patrons, obviously, and also in our Discord. So list 1 is the my main brew that I think is you're gonna see something like this a lot, with some small changes. But so it's 2 Ex-Sisters battalions. 1 is a Canoness with pistol, chainsword, and a null rod. And 1 is a Canoness with just pistol, chainsword. We have Saint Celestine. We have an Ordo Malleus Inquisitor with bolter, chainsword, and he is a psyker, because being a psyker, it has no points cost for some reason.
They are just all psychers now. You don't select whether or not you're a psyker. They just.
I mean, you do, but it doesn't cost any points, so you always choose to be a psyker.
Yeah.
Then it's 6 squads of 10 Battle Sisters. So, 60 Battle Sisters. 2 Imagifiers, which, for those who don't know, Imagifiers have 3 abilities they can start the game with. 1 is either a reroll or a bonus to deny the witch. 1 is +1 strength, and 1 is ignore -1 AP.
It doesn't say in ranged or melee, by the way. It's just all the time.
Yes. So that's important because this list is Virtuous Heart. Valorous Heart? Valorous Heart.
Valorous Heart.
I flipped it. I'm really bad about this. So Valorous Heart also has a 6-up Feel No Pain. So all these sisters have 6-up Feel No Pain. And also ignores 1 level of AP. When combined with an Imagifier, you ignore AP -2, up to an AP -2.
And that is thankfully specifically called out as working exactly that way in the Codex.
Yep. It is literally it literally in the trait says you get
They
to
do
stack, which is
Yep.
amazing.
Which is amazing. Yeah.
And then we have, just finishing out this attachment, 10 Celestians with 2 Stormbolters and a Simulacrum, which allows them to do an Act of Faith, even when you've already used one. Acts of Faith, for those who don't know, Sisters' armies get a pool of dice called Miracle Dice that you roll. When you roll a Miracle Die, you add it to your pool, and when you do an Act of Faith, you can change any number of dice in the roll you are active faithing. You can change them out for your miracle dice, for dice in your miracle dice pool. So the Simulacrum allows you to do it on a roll even if you've already done one that turn, or that phase. It's once per phase.
Yep.
So then we also have a Retributor squad with 9 sisters, 4 of which have Melty-Meltas, the leader of which has a Combi Flamer. They have 2 Armorum Cherubs, which are a 1-use, allow you to shoot again with a weapon, and a Simulacrum. So here's where we're going to talk, I think is our initial place to talk about the Holy Trinity. And I'm going to let you take this away because you have the codex in front of you.
Alright, okay. So Holy Trinity is a nice and simple one. It's 1 CP. If a sister squad is targeting only one target, so all your weapons are only shooting at one target, and it includes a bolter weapon, a flamer weapon, and a melta weapon, then the entire squad gets plus.
You slightly cut out at the end. It's +1 to wound, right?
Yeah, it's +1 to wound. It's if you shoot all your weapons from one squad into one other unit.
Yep.
You
got that part. It
bolter,
literally cut out at the word
and a
wound.
melta. Yeah, you add 1 to the wound roll, which for 1 CP is amazing.
Oh yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, so it allows Retributor squads, so you can double tap on buffing stratagems. So Retributors can use Holy Trinity, that's why there's the Combi Flamer in there, and then there's extra bodies in the Retributor squad to give bolters. They will then turn around and use Storm of Retribution, which is a 2 CP stratagem. There's 3 different abilities in it.
So
use it when it fires or overwatches.
Heavy Flamers reroll wounds.
Yep.
Heavy Bolters +1 to wound and ignore cover? +1 to hit and ignore cover? Hit. Okay, +1 to hit. Do they ignore cover?
No.
Okay, it's just +1 to hit?
Yeah. And then and then add 12 inches of range to multi-meltas in the unit, and when resolving an attack made by a multi-melta, add 1 to the damage.
That's real good.
It's pretty dang good. It's a you die.
Yeah. And then also, Valorous Heart, their specific stratagem is a unit ignores hit modifiers.
Blind Faith for 1 CP.
So you combine all of those, and the squad can probably take out 2 Iron Hands flyers.
It might be able to.
I think I wasn't including Holy Trinity when I did the math. 4 kill 1 without Holy Trinity. I think 3 kill 1 through Holy Trinity with Holy Trinity.
Yeah. I mean, and don't forget that you're probably going to roll your damage rolls for those multi up until the last 1 or 2, especially with that Simulacrum.
Yeah, and then
how many help wounds does that flyer have left? Oh, it has 4, and I have 2 2s in my miracle dice. I might just burn those 2 2s, right? Yeah. Just to guarantee it.
Actually, here's a question. I know there is a stratagem to spend miracle dice to increase a die roll.
Yes, let me try to find.
Yeah, find it real quick, because I want to know, can that improve damage? I actually don't remember. Because if it can, you're gonna get there.
Yeah, I have to find that. Here it is. Moment of Grace. Use the stratagem after making a hit roll or attack.
It's hit roll, wound roll, what?
Hit roll and wound roll, that's it.
No, sorry. That's the one where your hit roll and your wound roll are both the thing, right?
So there's Faith and Fury. Use this, which is 2 CPs. Use this stratagem after you perform an act of faith. For a hit roll, you can reuse the same miracle die for.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm talking about
cool.
what? Yeah. What's? Because I thought you could use the improve on a save roll at least.
Yeah, it's looking to this. So, here. Wait a minute. Let me just read the whole thing. Use this stratagem after making a hit roll or wound roll for an attack made by an Adeptus Sororitas model from your army, or after making a saving throw from an Adeptus Sororitas model in your army.
There we
Discard
go.
Discard 1 to 3 miracle dice. Add 1 to the result of the roll for each miracle die that you discarded.
Yeah. Okay. So you cannot use it.
But you can't do it on damage.
You can't do it on damage. You can do it on hit, wounds, and saves. Good to know. Yep. Still useful, but yeah, there's a lot of dice manipulation as you guys will come to see. That's a huge portion.
Yeah, they've gone to a lot of the fluff being about the sisters being lucky. Like they basically have like Master Chief's luck from Halo, right? Like where they actually call it out as a plot device in Halo 2 and 3. They literally say he's the lucky one. That's why he gets to go through all those lives to win the game. It's because he only keeps the playthrough that wins, right? Like he's that lucky.
Accurate.
And that's what the sisters are. They're a bunch of people who are lucky through faith. They're so faithful that like things just work out.
Yep. And then we have so that is 2 battalions, notably. Just going back to the list here.
Yep.
That is 2 battalions, 4 characters, and also, for those who don't know, Inquisitors can be included in just as an HQ choice in any Imperium detachment. It's actually
specifically, they don't take away any kind of sub-faction traits, so like chapter tactics, regimental doctrines, order convictions, any of those. It also calls out that they don't take away doctrines. They don't take away the space. It takes away
things that are like doctrines. So you could also include an Inquisitor in Pure Sisters and still get their their buffs, which is really good.
Yep.
Or Canticles too is the other one they call out. But yeah, so Marines. So this is a Marine Vanguard. It is White Scar's successor, which you'll hear a lot. With long range marksman and hungry for battle. Long range marksman means plus 3 inches of range on your guns. Hungry for battle means plus 1 inches assault and charge. Or not assault. Advance and charge.
Yep.
Plus 1 to advance, plus 1 to charge. That's the correct way to say that.
Yes.
So, Librarian and Terminator armor with a Force Sword and a Stormbolter. 10 Centurions and 2 5-man squads with Flamers and Hurricane Bolters on every model. A group of Servitors, because they're super cheap and fill out the detachment. And a Thunderfire Cannon.
Yep. It's the good stuff detachment.
Mm-hmm. So, for those who don't know, White Scars have access to a psychic power, or White Scar successors, including, get access to a psychic power that gives plus 2 to charge, and one that denies Overwatch. And they also have one of their successor relics gives a plus 2 to charge aura, plus 1 to charge aura?
It's a plus 1 to charge aura.
Yeah, plus 1 to charge.
And advances.
So plus 1 to charge aura, importantly for this. Which means you can give your Centurions a plus 4 to charge.
Yep.
And they have a 1 CP, I believe, to let your first charge be 3d6 drop 1.
Yep.
So basically, it is super reliable to successfully charge with White Scar's Centurions.
Yep.
The Librarian can drop in behind them on the same turn to give out his buffs. And the Servitors are 20 points for an elite choice, and are a large enough squad that you can have them be your engineers in ITC, so they can represent a couple of victory points depending on the table. Or they just, are a victory point for your opponent when they kill them. But you accept it. And a Thunderfire Cannon, which exists because Sisters, the one thing they lack in their entire codex, even with the Inquisitorial support, which fixes their psychic thing, is out of line of sight shooting. It does not exist in Pure Sisters, and it's a major reason to soup with them.
Yep.
So I brought one in this list. It's 92 points. It's very easy to hide a Thunderfire Cannon, and the Thunderfire Cannon does a ton of work. It lets your list just be good into Plague Bearers. I think it's really good into Orcs, from just anecdotal experience. And there's a couple others, right?
Yeah, it's great at taking down like guard squads, things like that.
Mm-hmm. And it has a CP to half speed, half advance, half charge. Like, you just make things not move good, which is how you win. Like,
the thing that still tilts me a little bit, the guard equivalent, same number of CPs, but instead of just being -1 Thunderfire Cannon, the rounds do no damage.
Yep. It's a lot worse.
Yeah, it is. And what's funny is the Wyvern went up in points.
Yeah, that was the last nail in the, like, okay, Pure Guard is gone. Soup in your Thunderfire Cannons, everybody.
Yep.
So at time of recording, the chapter approved drops at our local store tomorrow.
Yep.
So if we get some small points cost things wrong when we talk about these things, or if there's changes that the reviews got wrong, or that was just like not something we could know without the book in hand, it happens.
Yeah. I don't think Sisters are going to get changed. I don't think Inquisition is going to get changed, nor do I think Space Marines are going to get any changes.
No, not the Space Marines we're playing, because we didn't bring any Forge World items.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't think we brought the Forge World tank for Sisters.
Oh, repressors? Right?
Yeah. I don't think any of our lists have a repressor. Repressors, very good. Have some very, very weird stuff that needs an FAQ, so we're not talking about them yet.
However, most of the interactions that they do that are weird that need an FAQ, they got from an FAQ.
Yeah.
So yes.
Needs to be
FAQ. Just talking about your list, I think it has. So you've got the Sisters for an anvil.
Mm-hmm.
The Magnifiers combined with the Valorous Heart make them extremely hard to displace. You've got the Celestians to bodyguard for the Magnifiers, Saint Celest, or the Magnifiers and the Canonist. They cannot body block. They cannot bodyguard for Saint Celestine because she's not an order model.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's a problem. I think Celestine is tanky enough that it should be fine.
Yeah, she's fine. And then you have 10 Centurions because they're amazing.
Okay,
so you've got the Battle Sisters, you've got 60 Battle Sisters, you've got Valorous Heart, you've got the double Magnifier. So in order to force a 4-up invul, you have to have -3.
Yep.
If they're sitting in cover, they still have, at that point with the -3, they still force.
No. It's still a 4-up invul. It's always you have in cover. You have a 2-up save against -2.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
Marines have a lot of -2 right now. Because they have a lot of -1 that goes to -2 with doctrines. The big example is Iron Hands Flyers have assault cannons that are -2 during heavy, or the Devastator doctrine. Thank you. And Battle Sisters don't have to worry about that. They are very good at just tanking those guns.
Yep. If you're sitting in cover, you're getting a 2-up against -2 shots. It's really good.
Yeah.
The only way depending on the table you're on.
The only way it could be better is if they had a something to make them T4.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No.
Or if they had a 6-up field note pain. Oh, wait a minute, they do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then you've got the Retributor squad, Valorous Heart being able to ignore hit modifiers, the Retributors can move and shoot. Like the Retributors are a really good like tank busting unit to where your opponent kind of has to kill them if they can see them. So you can actually play hide and seek with the Retributors and force your opponent out into weird spots on the table. further you're going to be hitting. You're going to be hitting with that double Centurion bomb, and that double Centurion bomb scares the crap out of me. Every time we've played, if I'll put half of my list into killing one 5-man Centurion squad, and then I'll be like, okay, he's about to table me, and then it'll turn out that you were fielding one Centurion squad, and at that point I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine. But if there had been a second Centurion squad there on the table, I would have still been overextended, right? Like when we played a couple of the games that we were where I was not playing a Centurion, or when I was not playing any bombs, I was playing a kind of gun line. You played the like Vanguard Marines paired with Centurions, and I had to play exactly correctly, or else you were going to fold like a wet paper bag. And I think that this list has the ability to take a lot of punishment and to give a lot of punishment because of the double star. So yeah, I think there's a lot of play in this list.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing. Yeah, is that and also it means that one of the stars can come down with flamers and hurricane bolters and just clear stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then you have to try to kill them, and then there's another one.
Yep.
And it also, this list is going to take board space.
Yeah.
It has.
Yeah, there's not much you can do to stop. So that this list may very well be in a situation where if your opponent is trying to take up as much of the board as possible, you probably clear the board the first 2 turns with your sisters / occupy space with your sisters,
mm-hmm.
and then you may drop the Centurions on your front line in order to get into your opponent if there's no other space on the table.
Yep.
Right? But having that many tough, high threat bodies, because relatively speaking, sisters can actually do a fair amount of damage relative to what they would otherwise be doing. Like,
well, also to stuff that's trying to eat that much board space into your Centurions. Normally that stuff isn't good at just taking a bajillion bolter shots.
Right, exactly.
And like the Celestians, I think are actually kind of neat because they get full rerolls from being near a Canoness.
Yep.
Instead of, or full reroll the hits. Sorry, they get the Chapter Master style.
Yep.
Which means you're just hitting a lot.
Yeah. And having those full rerolls in the army is actually really good. I'm actually starting to look at putting more Celestians in my list. Something that's you're going to notice with the list that I have pre-made, there are no Celestians. These lists are the lists that I have are very bare bones.
Yeah.
Because they're just trying to fit in as much meat and potatoes as possible.
Yeah. And I think this list was me going like meat and potatoes. Okay, what's my sides? Celestians and Retributors.
Yep.
And a Thunderfire Cannon.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think your list has. I think your list specifically is has a lot of potential. I think there's a lot of play in it.
I think it's
I
also.
think it'll take.
It looks like something that I would expect to see out of a GT, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see this list being heavily fielded, right?
Yeah.
This is a really interesting list. It's got a lot of play. There's a lot on the table, right? Like there's a lot in the list, but there's also a lot on the table. And I think the better your table gets, the better the list gets.
Oh yeah, right? It's like dropping one of those Centurion squads into a magic box? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it becomes heinous.
Yeah. We know that SoCal was won by Centurions and magic boxes. Like that was what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy who won was literally like, yeah, I just had a box in the middle, I put my Centurions in it, and I won.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite that simple. There's counterplay into it and all that, but like 2 equally skilled players who are making sure that there's no way to easily like bat aside your opponent's stratagem or strategies. Centurions being able to drop into a box in the center, like they're kind of a win button.
Yeah, and it forces so much planning and like just stuff you don't want to deal with.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Any last comments on your own list?
Nope. I think we can move on to. Do you want to do my list 2 or your list 1?
I was gonna alternate people.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to do your soup list? Actually, you want to do your soup list, and then we can do the pures together. So, your list.
Yes. Let me get to jank.
So, this is your jankier of the 2 lists, but I still think it's good, and I think it's soupy enough that it's worth talking about.
Yeah. And I own this list except for the Centurions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, very tough.
So, core of the list: Crusader with a Gatling cannon and a battle cannon, 2 stubbers, a heavy flamer, and a carapace autocannon.
Yeah. So the stubber is on. So the stubber comes with the battle cannon. The heavy flamer comes with the Gatling gun.
Yep.
And there's one on the
Yeah, you have the nipple stubber. The sisters portion is a Valorous Heart battalion with Celestine, a Canoness with Brazier and Blessed Blade, which we note earlier needs an FAQ.
Yeah, so if you look at all the different model setups of the Canoness, none of them are legal according to the by Queen's English logic of the way that they wrote the codex. However, if you take out timing in how the grammar is worked, and this is the only way that you can get the current Canoness model to be a legal build. This is the only reason why I'm pulling this. Is you take a chainsword. If you have a chainsword, you can take a Brazier of Holy Flame or a Null Rod. They're in like the same slot.
Yeah.
And then if you have a chainsword, you can switch it for a Blessed Blade.
I think this is going to get. I would expect you won't be able to take Blessed Blades after the FAQ.
So the problem is that all of the different.
I'm also going to assume that the current model just won't be legal. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to assume
it's not going to be legal.
I'm going to assume the answer is going to be just it's not legal, because the rest of the builds are all things in the are how you build it in the multi kit. From what they've shown.
So a Blessed Blade is an upgrade to a power sword that just designates it as a Blessed Blade.
Yes. Sorry, I don't think you'll be able to take this combination because I don't think you'll be able to take a power sword with the Null Rods or Brazier.
Yeah, and if you can't, oh well.
Yeah. But even if you float a couple points and you take like an extra sister, if these are chain swords, either way, Brazier, Null Rod. So the Null Rod,
so essentially the build is the Brazier and the Null Rod.
I had a Null Rod as well. Null Rods are a 12-inch -1 to cast bubble.
Yep.
And Braziers are.
They are a semi one-turn smite. So the way that a regular Brazier works is one time. Let me double check. I'm going to actually read the rules for the Brazier because it's kind of work. Okay, whilst any models from your army that have Braziers of Holy Fire are within 6 inches of any enemy demon units, subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic of each of those units. Okay. In addition, if this model has a Brazier of Holy Fire, then once per battle, when this model fires Overwatch or is chosen to shoot with, it can unleash the Brazier's Holy Flames. When it does, select one enemy unit within 12 inches of this model. If firing Overwatch, you must select the unit that is declared to charge against this model. And fire 1d and roll 1d6 on a 2+. The enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. If that unit is a demon, it suffers d6 mortal wounds. That's not the actual piece of equipment. Is not why I'm taking it. The reason why I'm taking it is into Psyker heavy builds. There is a Relic Brazier, which
I
substitutes.
That Relic Brazier was a oh no, sorry. There's 2 Relic Braziers, right?
Yeah, there's 2 Relic Braziers. There's the Sacred Rose Relic Brazier where you can dump a Miracle Die to reload it.
Yeah.
So this is the Brazier of Eternal Flame. Brazier with model with a Brazier of Holy Flame only. This relic replaces a Brazier of Holy Fire. Yeah, so Brazier of Eternal Flame is the relic. Brazier of Holy Fire is what's replaced. So it replaces the Brazier. When a psychic test is taken for an enemy model within 18 inches of a model from your army with this relic, subtract 2 from the result.
Yeah. So it's a super null rod, but it takes a relic slot.
Yep, it takes up a relic slot. It now brings you up to having a neg-3 if they're anywhere close to your army.
Yeah.
Which is really and then, good. Yeah, it's pretty good. And then this being a pure, or no, this is not pure, never mind. But yeah, so there's a neg-3 to cast. So that means that if, say, Magnus has to get within 12 of your lines, or of these two characters in order to cast what he's trying to cast, he's casting on straight dice, which is really bad for him.
Yep.
Ahriman is casting on neg-2, and everybody else is casting on neg-3.
It's ridiculous.
Pretty difficult. Yeah.
And then you just have 14x5 sisters with combi flamers and meltaguns. Again, as noted, this allows you all of your squads access to Holy Trinity.
Yep.
And you have a single Imagifier, which scares me personally.
Yeah, it does. The nice thing that sisters have is, so as opposed to, say, Yanari or like salamanders, they're I got killed, let me get back up stratagem doesn't roll any dice.
Yeah, it doesn't roll any dice, and it still happens at end of phase. Or
right.
Like at the,
so it's when the character gets killed, spend I'm trying to find, it's 2 CPs. Let me double check though. That's not it. There's too many stratagems in this book.
There's so many.
There's so many. Okay. So yeah. So when a character, there it is. Okay. So it's Divine Intervention, 2 CPs.
Yes.
When the character dies, discard 1 to 3 miracle dice. It comes back with that number of ones.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. So there's no roll, and it just comes back at the end of the phase. So I know I have the Imagifier for 2 turns. Worst case scenario. And that's all I need it for.
Notably, you cannot use this on Celestine because that would be broken.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or Junith. I don't understand why you can't use it on Junith.
I think just because they didn't want to specifically not allow Celestine, they wanted to make it just character or named characters.
Yeah, but Junith doesn't have any kind of magical get-up power.
No,
so when she dies, she just dies.
Yeah, so you gotta take support for Junith.
Yeah.
And then this is the part that I think is a bit more jank.
Janky?
So it's a Supreme Command of White Scars with the same chapter tactics, Hungry for Battle, Long Range Marksman. A Bike Captain with Teeth of Terra and Storm Shield. A Terminator Librarian with the +2 speed relic, +2 charge relic. Eisenhorn with points open for his Demon Host.
Yep.
Which, yes, this is the meme. And then 5 Assault Centurions with 2 Flamers each, no Hurricane Bolters.
Yeah, there's no points for them.
Honestly, I think that's the part that makes this jank. If you could get Hurricane Bolters on these, I would just be down for this list.
Yeah, so I'm honestly thinking of bringing Eisenhorn and Cherubel, his Demon Host, down to just being a blank Inquisitor, which gives me 50 points.
Yeah, which I think is enough to get Hurricane Bolters?
It is, yeah, it's exactly enough to get them. I want to see if having... So the fun part about the Demon Host is that it's a mini Demon Prince for 25 points.
Yeah, it's ridiculously cheap for how good it is when it's near him.
Yeah, he has an aura that buffs it up. It can randomly heal all of its wounds back. It can explode into
Eisenhorn will just get sniped off the table, though, in this list.
Yeah, he has a 6-up Feel No Pain. He has no Invul, which is very annoying.
Which is a problem.
But he has 2 cast, 2 deny without a Warlord trait. Whereas
fair. Cody has
if you're using Cody as without his Warlord trait, he has 2 cast and 1 deny.
Yes. Actually, yes?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
But also, Eisenhorn, like, you don't have any way to support him, so it's a lot of points for if he gets sniped off the table. Like, if he gets sniped off the table, his Demon Host starts being really bad. Or does it get removed with him?
No.
Okay.
He just loses the... So Eisenhorn hands him +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and +1 to his invul.
And +2 toughness, and...
So he gets that when he comes onto the table. He gets +2 toughness, +2
I thought that
strength,
was
+2
also
wounds.
required being near.
Nope. It's the ability triggers when the demon host comes onto the table.
Huh. Okay,
Eisenhorn is summoning his demon host out of nowhere. And at that moment, he gets all of those extra stats. So even if Eisenhorn is then killed, unless it specifically states he loses it.
Yeah, okay, so it's still T5, strength 5, 7 wounds, 6 attacks, which is good.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm starting to think that I might turn this into an even more meat and potatoes list and just put the hurricane bolters onto it. But I want to try Eisenhorn just because he seems fun.
Yeah. I think I don't know that you would do it. I don't know that I agree doing it in this list, but I think Eisenhorn does have a place because that demon host is so strong.
Yeah.
That's mostly what he does. He's really just like a psyker that comes with a 25-point demon prince.
Yeah.
Notably, the demon host he brings in doesn't have the same bonus, or doesn't have the same doesn't break rules that he has as an Inquisitor.
However, the demon host is being summoned, so it's not in a detachment.
Doesn't matter. It still breaks. It won't break the like faction stuff, but it will break the doctrines, etc.
Yeah, you can't bring Eisenhorn and a demon host into anything else other than a soup list.
Yeah, anything pure, which is the main problem with him, I think.
Yeah, but also means that you're incentivized to take him if you're super.
Yeah, so we'll see if he's good. This one's a little bit more of a meme.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like in retrospect, this list probably dumps Eisenhorn for a blank, probably Malleus Inquisitor.
Yeah.
And gets the heavy bolter, the hurricane bolters back. Yeah. Because, I mean, the list already has a lot of dude, but having more is never bad.
No, not at all.
Yep.
Honestly, I would take Eisenhorn in a Guards Supreme Command with like 3 tank commanders and Eisenhorn.
Yeah, I could see it.
Especially, yeah, I think I still do that. Okay, so do we want to go on to my second list?
Yeah, let's do your second list. So your pure list, right?
Yeah. So this is Virtuous Heart Bloody Rose. So we have in the Virtuous Heart we have 4x14 sisters. This is due to how the points worked out. With with a combi flamer and a melta in each squad, and 2 squads got storm bolters for points. Again, Holy Trinity's good. We have and these are, it's 2 battalions of Virtuous Heart here. So we have Celestine, a missionary for points, also because he's actually kind of good in this list. 2x5 sisters to get us to our 6 troops. A 2x Canoness with no options. 2x Magifier. And 2x8 Retributors with 4 multi-meltas, 2 cherubs, and a banner. And the, what's that called? The Simulacrum? Yeah, and a Simulacrum.
Yeah, Simulacrum Imperialis. It's the only banner they...
Yeah. Notably, I don't have combi flamers on the Retributor squads in this list, just for points. And then we have a Bloody Rose, Vanguard, Canoness with Chainsword and Null Rod. Her job is to get the Bloody Rose, basically Teeth of Terra?
Yep. Teeth of Terra clone, yeah.
Yep. 2x9 Repentia, 2 Rhinos with just a Stormbolter, and an Imagifier who will be doing the +1 strength and riding with the Repentia. So this is Pure Sisters trying to have the Anvil be a little bit more hammery. Your sister squads do a little bit more, and trying to bring a sister's hammer in Repentia. Repentia are really good.
I think they are, yeah.
So Pure Sisters get a number You get to either choose one or roll two from a number of options, one of which is +1 advance and charge. And that means you can do a lot. Repentia get there, right? In Rhinos, with +1 advance and charge, they one of them can advance and charge with a stratagem.
Yep.
That's what mortifiers get. The penitent engines don't.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So this was a bit of our pre-discussion. We were trying to remember what mortifiers got for being sisters models, with none of the keywords that penitent engines don't for not being sisters models. Instead being what are they called? Adepta.
Adeptus Sororitas versus Munitorum.
Yeah, they're the Munitorum.
Yep.
So, and the answer is mostly the +1 advance, or the reroll advance and charge stratagem.
Yep.
That's really good.
I think they also get the Sacred Rites.
They might get Sacred Rites, yeah.
Being
But,
Adeptus
so Sacred Rites are these, your whole list is from the Sisters Codex, you get this, right?
Yep.
And so, some of the other benefits that you get for being Pure Sisters, which you use more, I think this list always takes... I don't even think this list rolls unless it really wants the anti-psychic one and kind of just wants to try and cheat and get both.
Yeah, so I think I'm still fairly traumatized from when I was in the South. So when I was down in the Carolinas for a year, there were a lot of like Nurgle Demon Slayers.
Mm.
And so I'm like, -3 to cast. That's amazing. I'm going to put that in every list.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So this list does not have that because it's very meat and potatoes, right? This is, here's all your sisters, here's your Repentia who get there. Their strength 3 times 2. The Magifier makes them strength 4 times 2. Bloody Rose, what you get is an extra AP in the fight phase, or on melee weapons and pistol weapons, but in this case in the fight phase. +1 AP, or +1 attack on the charge. You're basically Marines. You get benefits Marines do in the fight for fighting, and you have a CP to get +1 to wound, and that means your Repentia with an Magifier can wound a knight on 2s or 3s.
Yeah, on a reliable 3,
which is incredible. Like, it makes them really, and then they reroll hit rolls. The missionary can give them an extra attack, so they make 4 on the charge.
So they're getting up to swinging 4 times with the missionary.
Yep, and Repentia get the fight again stratagem. It's a lot of melee power that you get to get while being Pure Sisters, and for ITC purposes, Pure Sisters has benefit for just getting on the standings. And also, I think that there's some value in being in the, what are they called? Sacred Rites?
In the Sacred Rites, yep.
Yeah, in having the Sacred Rites. And your list makes use of more of them, I think.
What's up?
We can go through that, your list.
One thing that I did want to point out. So I still think, like, in this particular list, something that you can use that you weren't talking about is the Casket of Penance. Which I said, yeah. So you stick it on one of your canonesses that are Valorous Heart. It's the Valorous Heart named
Relic.
Relic.
Yeah.
And it's subtract 1 from the toughness characteristic of enemy unit within 1 inch of a model from your army with this relic. It's simple. The canoness is not really there. So your canonesses are slot fillers.
Yes.
They are. So you don't really care about losing them. So
no. It's hard to put them in the... we have limited space in the Rhino, is the thing, right?
Yeah, there's limited space in the Rhinos. But if you're not in a position where you're rocketing for it, right? So if your opponent is kind of coming to you as well.
Yeah.
I think the Casket of Penance that's the situation where you take it as a bought relic.
Yes. So I think you have the option to buy that relic, and it makes this list even better in combat, which is a good thing.
Yeah. It gets to the point where you're now wounding knights on 2s.
Yes, that wounds knights on 2s, and at some point you're just like... And all the sisters don't die to knights in combat, like, at all. Like, stomps kill 1 sister?
Repentia have a 7-up save instead of a 3-up save.
Sorry, Repentia, you hide the Repentia behind the sisters at that point, but like,
Yeah.
if
they also have a 5-up Feel No Pain, so it
Yes.
kind of evens out,
Yeah.
right?
But like, if the knight wants to charge into your sister's line, it just die. Like, it doesn't kill anything, and then the Repentias get out of the Rhino and charge it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Gallants, Despoilers, Melee Despoilers, and Ravagers. So the Despoilers and Ravagers are the Chaos Knights versions. They can't play into Sisters. They don't get to play the game.
No.
They're a giant infantry mob.
And
because the Sisters can kind of pick them up.
Yeah, which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Okay, so your list then is similar actually.
Yep.
It's 2 Valorous Heart battalions and a spearhead in your case.
Yep.
So Celestine, a Canoness with Brazier of Flame, and a melee weapon. I'm not going to say which one. I actually think, how much is a Blessed Blade?
9 points. It's a sister.
God, there's so, like, that's like almost 2 Simulacrum for these sister squads. 2 Simulacrum.
Yeah. No. Oh yeah. If the Blessed Blades go away, I won't be sad.
No.
I will just move on.
Yeah. So it's 3 X sisters with Combi Flamers and Meltas, of course. An Imagifier. Yes. Okay. Triumph is just in a weird place. Another battalion with the Triumph of St. Catherine. Let's talk about the Triumph, because that model is fucking cool.
It's weird.
It's weird, but it's also really cool.
It's cool. This is a playtest list. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep playing this.
It has
do you want me to go over it? Like, do you want me to go over the Triumph?
I think we have time. Yeah, we're an hour in, and this is I set aside an hour and a half for this podcast. So yes.
Okay, so here's the big thing about it that makes me question its worth. It has 18 wounds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a T3 model. It's an infantry model that is 18 wounds. So it does not get the protection from the character keyword because of how many wounds.
None of the bodyguards and sisters can protect it.
And none of the bodyguards and sisters can protect it.
Gemini can only protect Celestine.
Yep.
And they were in my first list. What are they called? Celestians can only protect the sisters in the same order as them.
Yep. Which is not fluffy. The Triumph of St. Catherine is supposed to be all the orders have given their greatest
it should be
relics
every
to
order.
them. Yeah, so like there's a whole, and this model actually degrades.
Yes.
So it goes from having 15 down to 6 attacks as it degrades, and it goes from having 5 relics down to 1 relic degrade.
You can
the relics
heal
are
it.
really cool. Yeah.
I think actually
there's no way to heal it.
Yeah. Well, you don't have a way to heal it in your list, right?
Well, no, there's no way to heal it.
Yes, there is. You can heal it with a what are they called? The medic lady.
I think Hospitaller.
Hospitalars can heal them.
They have an order. No, they're their own order.
Yeah.
Okay, they can heal it.
So that was actually going to be my one suggestion as we go through the list, is you probably want a Hospitalar to just top off the Triumph. Because
maybe.
Notably, you do get the relics back, and you choose which ones you lose.
Yep. So the ways that this, so this one has, so one of its relics is the Prosidium Protectiva. It gets a 4-up invul, and attacks made against this model are subtract 1 from the hit.
And that one never goes away? That's just
that can
something
go away.
That can go away.
Oh, no, it can. Never mind. It's not a relic.
Yeah, it's not one of its 5 relics. It just has a... It has
a 4-up invul and neg 1 to hit.
Yes.
Yeah. Then it has Fiery Heart. You automatically pass morale within 6. This is actually bad because sisters want to be rolling those dice even if they automatically roll it.
Sisters have an ability where if they pass a morale test on a natural 1 without using an act of faith, they get a miracle die.
Right, and you want that source of miracle dice.
Yep.
Solemn procession. So it's supposed to be a bunch of sisters carrying a giant casket with a bunch of cherubims around it,
and,
right?
And the model has been shown off, and it's that, and it looks amazing.
It's also huge.
Yes.
So it's kind of scary to me how big it is, so that it can always be seen.
Yeah. I think that there is a question of Sisters have a terrain piece that we haven't seen used much, and I'm wondering if that will actually impact.
So it's a brand new model that hasn't come out.
Yeah. So once it comes out, if it's big enough to hide the Triumph, I think there's some play there.
Yep. Okay, so the relics that it has. The Censer of the Sacred Rose. At the start of each turn, you get a mirror eye, which is really good.
Really good, yeah.
So, like, you usually get one at the beginning of every round. So, at the beginning of... And this is not your turn, this is every turn.
Yes, you get 2 per round, so you end up at 3 per round?
Yeah, just for free, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and in melee, like, if you assault this thing, so, like, let's say, like, your opponent has, like, the Chaos, like, melee beatstick army.
Yeah.
So, it has 14 attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Up to 4 of those can be with the Martyr's Sword, which is this, like, big, like, bodyguard lady with this giant relic blade in front of it. And it's +3 strength, -3 AP, 2 damage. So It's a strength 6, -3, 2 damage thing that's hitting on 3s. And then the other 10 attacks are strength 5, -1, 1 damage.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good in melee.
And also, one of its other things is in melee... during your psychic phase, it like explodes things.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yep. Okay, so back to the relics. Yeah. Simulacrum of the Ebon Chalice. At the start of your shooting phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 6 model, adding 1 to the result if the target is a psyker, and add 1 to the result if it is a chaos psykers are screwed. Yeah. On a 5+, they take D3 more. It's okay.
Yeah.
Petals, and that short range is very hard to use.
Yeah.
Into Chaos, because Chaos is so melee.
If Chaos literally cannot charge St. Catherine. It's just
like you charge this model and it swings back. It's an interesting model.
Yeah, it swings back hard and then blows you up. It swings back hard and then blows you up with its psychic ability, or with its shooting phase ability. It's really good.
Very much so. Petals of the Bloody Rose, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by models in Friendly Adeptus Sororitas while they are within 6 inches of this model.
That one...
Really good. So again, if you're going up against a melee, like, brick army, so, like, a bunch of Assault Centurions that don't have the Hurricane Bolters, it's getting there.
Yeah. That one actually... So that one is something I've considered with Repentia. Making them hit on 3s is really good.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
Icon of the Valorous Heart, once per phase.
Also, that means it hits on 2s, right? It means it itself hits on 2s.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so I misread this before. So the Icon of the Valorous Heart, once per phase, you can perform 1 act of faith for a friendly unit within 6 that has the acts of faith, even if you have acts. So it's basically another Simulacrum Imperialis.
Yes, but it's Simulacrum Imperialis that works on things that don't get Simulacrum Imperialis.
Yes.
Which matters for what we're going into in a sec.
Yeah.
Okay,
and then, and the last one is a Simulacrum of Shroud. If you... Oh, God. So if you... So this is basically the Dialogus ability. You get to add or subtract 1 from the die.
Yes.
Of any...
the Triumph has a lot of rules, and the question if it's good is if you can protect it.
Yeah.
I'm
not sure you can.
I think there's probably, and there might end up being a build where you just play salamanders, where you soup in salamanders just to protect this Triumph, because it is an infantry model.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
So, then you have an Ordo Malleus Inquisitor. Ordo Malleus, I believe, is the one that gets a Warlord trait for an extra cast, an extra deny, and an extra power.
Yep. And they have the give a unit a 5-up invul psychic.
Yep. Doesn't work on vehicles, sadly, but
infantry.
You can give it to a sister squad that is farther away. Honestly, I don't know that you're even taking that power in this build, but...
Not in this build, no.
No. There's other powers that are good. What's it called? It's, you take control of a unit and make them shoot at their friends.
Yeah, it's so it says non-vehicle. So the thing that it's the best into is Tau.
Yeah.
Because Tau battle suits are not vehicles, including Riptides.
Yes. It's very good.
So you can fire a Riptide into your opponent.
Yeah. Also randomly Tyranids if they come back.
Yep.
Which has a not zero chance of happening. And then 3x 14 sisters with Combi Flamers and Meltas. So you have 45 plus 28, 32.
Yeah. I was going for having 90 sisters, but 42. The points did not allow for it, so I have 87 sisters.
Yeah, 87 sisters, an Ordo Malleus Inquisitor, the Triumph, Celestine, and then an Image of Fire, Canoness, and then your Spearhead, which is Ebon Chalice, is another Canoness with a Null Rod, and 3 Exorcists, which probably goes down to 2 Exorcists now that you reread Triumph.
Yeah. It's probably... So one of the things with Exorcists is that they have D6 damage on their... So they have 3d3 shots, strength 8, neg 2 d6 damage.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the reroll ones with the Canoness, but there's no rerolls to wound. And then Ebon Chalice can dump an extra miracle die to turn a miracle die into a 6 and then use it.
Yeah, they can turn any 2 miracle die. They can combine any 2 miracle die to make a 6. Yep. Is how I think about it.
Yep.
And I think that's... So when you have Triumph, one unit gets to turn 2 into a 6, another unit gets to use a 5 or a 6 with Triumph, and so 2 Exorcists, each one gets a shot that does 6 damage.
Yeah.
Which is why they're so expensive. They're very expensive tanks, and I think they are that way because that stat line, when you have dice control, is just really good.
Yeah, that D6 damage is really good. And even given like taking away full access to the miracle dice, I still think they're a really good gun.
Yes, they are. I just think you probably you think about turning 1 into a squad of Retributors.
Probably.
Maybe with Flamers, because the Ebon Chalice stratagem is your Flamers roll max shots.
To be perfectly honest, it probably becomes I probably sacrifice points further, so the Triumph probably even goes away, and then I do Retributors in a Repressor.
Fair. But I think Triumph is worth testing, and I think it's really... Triumph 2 Exorcists is something that has the potential to get there in competitive lists. And I think
that like when there's an auto 6 on 2 different units, that first turn, the possibility of just, how many health does that have left? Oh, it has 4. Okay, I'm going to take this 3. It becomes a 4 with Triumph. Okay, that's dead. I'm going to fire this into that Knight. And how much does it have? Oh, when does it bracket? Oh, I'm gonna put a 6 on it.
Yeah.
And so now you're, that's 6 damage.
Yeah.
Like even after everything else, it'll take a bunch of extra damage, right?
Yeah.
So you might be able to bracket that Knight to force them to use the stratagem to re-up it.
Mm-hmm.
And that puts a lot of stress on your opponent if you're putting, because none of that uses CP, right?
No,
I'm using a resource I'm naturally accruing through the game, and I have to use it or I lose it, as opposed to CPs where you just have a pool and you're emptying the pool.
Yes.
So I'm not putting as much stress on myself by using this resource than as my opponent is from
because you refill it, and you refill it so fast with Triumph. Like, what is Triumph's Warlord trait, by the way?
I don't believe it can take one trait, but let's see. Pure of Will, which is... You subtract 1 from psychic tests when taken within 12 of for enemy models when taken within 12 of this warlord.
So that's another layer. Notably, we should talk about the fact that you have so many neg auras for psychers, because your pure sisters.
The list without. So even just looking at my list, right? So it's gonna be able to get to a neg 3 without using any warlord traits.
Yep.
There's a stratagem to grab another warlord trait, which is pure of will, to make that up to a neg 4. And then
your pure sisters, so you can use the one thing to get like another +2.
It's +3 to my deny the witch rolls for sisters.
Yes. Okay.
So I essentially, instead of rolling 2d6, I roll a 3 and then I roll a d6.
Yeah.
And I can miracle
you have
die
like
that
a
roll.
neg, and then you have like a neg 4 bubble, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what?
Yeah, right.
Which effectively means that you have like a +7 to deny because like their
Yeah, it's getting
roll is 4 less.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's what there's this. You can tell that the person who wrote this army list has had traumatic experiences with psychers.
Yep.
Because it's literally like, oh, this can get to like -5. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, and
then
here's a fun one. So if the Ebon Chalice Canoness is the one doing the act of faith deny, I can dump 2 dice to do a 6.
Yep.
For my deny.
Yep.
So I can just be like, oh, what'd you roll? Well, I rolled a 12. You have -4, so I rolled an 11. So -4, 11. That goes down to a 7, and then I can stick a 5 on there.
If they roll 12 with -4, they roll an 8, and then you stick a 6 in, and you roll a 9, and you actually stop it. Also, if you deny without using a die, you just get a die.
Get a miracle die. Yeah.
It's really good.
And with the triumph, I can add 1 to the roll, or I can add 1 to the the miracle die roll.
Yeah,
stat.
I think
so. It's like
I think there's enough in this army that it's like, if the triumph is in any way protectable, this list is good.
Yeah. I do think that the Dialogus might work its way in as a very, very budget triumph because it has the same.
If you take a warlord trait, on it, it does. Yeah, I think honestly, if triumph doesn't end up being protectable, I think that means the exorcists kind of go away.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
I think that's kind of where I'm at. It's like exorcists exist. Exorcists are good with triumph because you can miracle die more of them, and I think one exorcist is just going to be too easy to kill.
Yep.
Now, grant you, your sisters require anti-tank guns to kill.
Yeah.
So maybe it's fine. Maybe your opponent doesn't have enough anti-tank guns to kill your tank, and all of your canoness.
Yeah, it's really nasty. Also, there is a Celestine barreling into them.
There's a fun part. So notably,
a fun part about the Amagifier.
All of our lists have a Celestine in it.
Oh yeah. So a fun part about the Amagifier, you can spend 1 CP to make it for the game have that -1 to AP is ignored, and the +1 strength, and then you give it the Book of St. Lucius, and it has a 9-inch aura to do that.
Yep.
So your opponent has to kill the Amagifier, right? Having multiple Amagifiers, you lose some of that ability to push out so many buffs. Because you can only do the stratagem once. It's actually I need to double check, but I think you can only do it once.
You can only do it once, yeah. So that's why for my Repentia list, I'm just bringing 3.
Yeah.
And so 2 of them are on protection duty, and 1 of them is on make the Repentia good duty.
And I think one of them is flex, right?
Yes.
Maybe even the one with the Repentia is the flex.
Potentially, but I think, there's going to be matchups where you don't need +1 strength on them. But also that Amagifier is, like, it's because Amagifiers are order locked, right?
Yes, they are order. So yeah, you'd probably do the flex one. Actually, no, I don't think you do it on. So for yours specifically, like your list, I don't think you ever actually use a flex.
The only time I would is if I wanted to get better Deny the Witch.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to flex into having one that's... or if I thought I need to be able to, like, take a hit... The sisters need to be able to want to be strength 4 so they can, like, take a charge from, like, a bunch of orcs, right? I'm like, okay, I'm into, like... I'm up against, like, speed freaks, and I just need to, like, hold the line... Time for +1 strength, right?
Yep. And it is an option you have.
Yes. And I think that's something that's of note for sisters is options you just have them. You just have options. Like,
and the list, no matter how you build a sisters list, it's always an amazing catcher's mitt.
yes, it's an anvil. It is the anvil.
Right, and I think that build is the way that I like playing the game.
Yes.
And so I'm really enthusiastic about sisters because of how much of an anvil.
Yeah, and I think I'm similar looking at. I've definitely, if I had sister stuff, and if you weren't playing it, because I think like I just have to accept whatever you're playing. I'm not playing. I'm gonna pick up. We'll need to coordinate so that we're not, because we're gonna play team tournaments at some point, and we need to like be prepared to be on different builds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I think that your build, your pure sisters build, has a lot of play on pretty dense tables.
Yep.
And because of that, I think that as time goes on, a lot of the big GTs are starting to really talk about trying to get a lot more terrain on their tables.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I'm like, okay, cool. So I think Repentia are really starting to get, like, their stock is going up, right?
Yeah.
And all the tools that you can bring in are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where, like,
I think both of my lists look like strong, active scenario lit. That's one thing. Also, sisters are very active on scenario because they
they push forward.
Yes, they push forward. They
push forward in the middle of the table. They sit there and you can't move.
Yep.
Yep.
And it even, like, I think I need to look at in these builds. Look at like, King of the Hill and those where table control literally gets you victory points.
Yeah.
Because sisters are really good at it.
Yeah. I ended up having to. So Alexis was playing our Murdered Lady in her derp list, and it took the relic Gatling cannon on a Crusader and all of its secondary guns to kill 10 sisters, and that's not right.
No.
That's not okay. When I'm putting like 400 points into killing 90 points.
Yep.
And I'm just barely getting there.
Yeah.
And then I'm using the Inferno Cannon to kill half tank a turn, right? It was harsh. Like, she just had a lot more mileage out of her bodies than I.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was there's a lot to it. I think that I think the Exorcist, especially after the discussion and looking at the Triumph and all that, I increasingly don't have much faith in the Triumph.
Yeah, I think we need to sit down and look at it.
Yeah. I want to look at some events coming up and seeing if the Triumph can hide on those tables.
Yep.
And if the Triumph can't hide on those tables, the Triumph never sees the table.
No. And I think for me it comes down to Triumph might become something that only sees play in brigades, which is a build we didn't talk about, but you can definitely do it with sisters.
Oh yeah, they love brigades.
And you just do like a brigade and maybe a spearhead if you need that, but like literally just a brigade and a fortification attachment.
So
depending on the size of the new one, because it's cheap, right? It's 50 points. If it's sized like the description of it seems to imply, which is that it's fairly large, you stick. If you can just stick the Triumph behind it,
yep,
that's your plan, right?
Yep, and it being an infantry model means it can go inside magic boxes. So it loves magic boxes, right?
Oh yeah. Like, if you have a magic box in your deployment zone, it definitely makes that better.
Oh yeah, it's like broken. And that's the weird thing, right? Like, it has so many wounds that if it can hide, eliminators are not a good answer to it.
Yep.
Because it's 18 wounds.
Yeah.
And a 4-up invul. So it's like, oh, okay. I don't think they do enough damage to it for it to care. They're hitting it on 2s. They're wounding it on 3s. Because even with the -1, they hit on 1s with that out of line of sight shot.
Yeah.
So they go up to hitting on 2s, and then the 1s auto miss. So they're still hitting it on 2s. They're wounding it on 3s. It has a 4-up invul. Right. So a lot of lists have at least 3 eliminators in them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think I do want to try some version of the knight with the assault centurions. I think it has a lot of play because 60 sisters, I think, might be that turning point where your opponent can't dislodge them, but it's not your entire list. I do think I do a Malleus Inquisitor.
Yeah.
For my thing, and then I just up and then put the Hurricane Bolters on the Centurions, and I think that's what I'm going to actually play test. And I want to see how that does. I think Celestine with 60 sisters behind her is amazing.
Oh yeah.
And I think that having that many sisters with good psychic defense, bodies, being very good at tanking, and then having a knight behind them pouring death onto the table, and assault centurions that can come on turn 2 or 3 to just deal the killing blow. I think it's really good. Yeah. What's your take from these lists?
That I'm trying to think of the words for it. That Virtuous Heart is really good. I think that's like
Valorous
my off the cuff.
Amazing.
Valorous Heart. The Valorous Heart is like kind of the default.
I think that Valorous Heart is looking at being the anvil to break all anvils. Right?
Yeah.
I think our Murdered Lady also has play, because if you don't fully kill the squad, the dang things are hitting on 2s.
Yep.
And it's really annoying. Like, as someone who got victimized by it, it's really annoying. You have to kill the entirety of that one squad, and then the other 2 squads that were within striking distance get to now hit. And it's pretty harsh. But the thing is, like, Argent Shroud can advance, ignore it, and fire.
Yep.
Right? Like, that's pretty good because that speeds up the sisters, and the sisters are pretty slow. Because of how I deployed in the test game, Alexis lost an entire turn and a half of shooting. She lost all of her shooting turn 1, and she lost half of her shooting turn 2.
Yeah, it's actually
and she still out firepowered me.
Yeah, so the ability to actually like run advance and charge is huge. And it's advance and shoot as if you had only moved, which means Repentia can advance and shoot. And you can advance and shoot heavy flamers.
Yep.
It's like,
it's hazardous.
The wording is so specific to be good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it is an amazing wording for it. It means that your list just essentially gets plus D6 move characteristic on everything. And I think it's really good. Argent Shroud also has a pretty good relic, and I think their ruler trait is okay.
Yeah. Argent. No, sorry, that's not Argent Shroud. Isn't Argent Shroud the? Isn't Argent Shroud the one that's like 5-up, 5-up Overwatch? What's that one? Is that not Argent Shroud?
So Argent Shroud is advancing, can fire weapons as if it had moved without advancing. Sacred Rose.
Sorry, yes, that's the one.
Is 5-up. It's on a 5-up. You get your miracle dice back when you use an act of faith.
It's not you don't get the same one back. You roll a new one.
Yeah, you roll a new one.
which is worse.
Yeah. And in addition, when firing Overwatch, you hit on a 5 in this.
Mm-hmm. And then the last one is like you can't lose more than one model from morale. I think it's like a non-benefit.
No, that's not. Sacred Rose doesn't have that. That was one of them during the beta codex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, none of them have that. Yeah, then there's Bloody Rose. It's +1 attack and melee, +1 P on melee, and pistol. Valorous Heart is the extra neg 1. Ignore extra neg 1 and feel no pain on a 6. Ebon Chalice is 5 of feel no pain against mortals. Here's the fun part. Ebon Chalice Celestians, when they bodyguard, get a 5 up in feel no pain.
Yeah.
Because it is a mortal wound.
Yep.
So they have the best bodyguards.
Yeah.
And then our Martyred Lady is they get an additional miracle die. They get a miracle die at the end of any phase
in which one of their units was destroyed.
Yeah, which is in addition to the regular way you get them.
Which is when a character is destroyed.
When a character is destroyed, when you kill, when a character is destroyed, when a Repentia unit is destroyed, when you kill a unit, when you pass morale on a 1, and if you deny psychic power without using using a sister unit. And then if any models have previously been killed, even if they come back, add 1 to hit rolls for the rest of the models in that unit.
Ooh, boy.
For our,
it's very good.
Our Martyred Lady's good.
Yeah. Our Martyred Lady also good, has the best, has the named character, the new named character.
Yeah, Junith, Unith, whatever.
Yeah, who you can actually take instead of, what's-her-face, instead of Celestine.
Or you go our Martyred Lady, you do Junith, Eurita, Eurita, I guess, and Celestine, and then your Warlord can do something else.
Yep.
So your Warlord at that point can be another Canoness who hands you an extra miracle die every turn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
And I think because of that, our Martyred Lady becomes really strong.
So we didn't have
maxing out their anvil. They start maxing out their miracle dice.
Yes. So we were using them mostly as an anvil in most of our builds, and that's why we didn't see that. I think meta-wise, it'll actually be a meta consideration. Right now, Valorous Heart. Yes, that's correct. If Valorous Heart wasn't so good into the Marine meta, or if the Marine meta wasn't on top completely, I think you would be considering our Martyred Lady a lot more.
Yeah. I think Valorous Heart is the anvil, and our Martyred Lady is the jack of all trades, essentially.
Yep.
Forces your opponent to overkill your units, which is really good.
It's really good, yeah.
It essentially, over the game, reduce the amount of shooting that your opponent has relative to their experience and the variability of the variance of their guns. So, like, orcs have to overkill the sisters by a lot.
Yep.
Guard. A lot of the big guard guns are D6 shots. So you'll have to put everything from this entire big tank into that one unit. Most of this next big tank has to go into that one unit just in case. And it's a price you have to pay. And I think you gladly pay it, and ergo I think it always works. And so I think that I think what'll happen is Valorous Heart will be the Soup Sisters, and our Martyred Lady will slowly become the basics for pure Sisters builds. The Anvil will actually be our Martyred Lady to get extra dice.
Yep.
And then you'll be probably using Sacred Rose.
Yeah.
As your you'll be using Bloody Rose as your hammer.
Yeah, I think so.
You'll yeah.
I think the only question is if you are looking at And notably, again, we didn't do this. We just said Virtuous Heart's really good in the meta. We're just going to put everything in Virtuous Heart.
Yeah. We're answering the current meta with our lists.
And I think that's... If the Marine meta... And the Marine meta just doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon.
I don't think so.
So that's why I think Valorous Heart's going to stand out on top for a while.
I think so.
But if you want to play Our Martyred Lady, it is probably the best, like, before considering the meta. Like, it's the best baseline.
Yeah.
Because of what it has access to. All right.
Yeah.
So I think we're coming up on about time here.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Andrew, what do you have on the painting table?
Okay, so I'm finishing up a knight.
Mm-hmm.
I have an orc army that's coming to me to get painted. Yep. I have a bunch of other stuff that's coming to me to get painted. I don't even know what's there. He's literally like, I got a box of stuff. Can you paint all of it? I'm like, cool, will do. And then I've also pretty much finished up my Menoth Vlad 3 Menoth pairing, because I like saying that it's a Menoth pairing with Vlad 3 in it. I still need to paint the Judicator, so that's like my next big painting project is painting the Judicator.
Yep.
I'm trying to go with a lot of like airbrush and get a little bit better at making like the flashy, like airbrushy color schemes. I've always been the guy who put way too much time into glazing, and I've been trying to get away from like somber tones like that. So the last piece that I really put time into was my Harbinger, which you saw I put a fair amount of time making it a pretty bright model.
Yep.
So now I'm trying to look at doing that with an airbrush.
Sounds good.
Yeah. What's on your painting table, Zane?
Gonna be actually probably Marvel models when we actually sit down to paint them.
Nice.
Now that I have like a week left of school, and then I can actually sit down and start getting hobby stuff done.
Yep, I feel.
Speaking of MCP, I did want to take a sec here in our post-amble. Even though it's not 40K talk, I am excited. Marvel did show off a bunch of stuff at PAX Unplugged. And Thanos is in. I didn't notice before, but Thanos is here in this display case.
Is he movie Thanos or is he comic Thanos? Basically, is he wearing the comic book hat or is he not wearing?
He's wearing the comic book hat. It looks like.
Okay.
From here, I'm gonna send this to you. I'm gonna just send you the. I don't know if you're in the.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, good. He's not just... He also has his comet, like, the throne behind him.
It's interesting how the... and this is something that I never realized. They actually pretty recently made the Black Cabal. So they're not actually characters from, like, the antiquity of the comics. They were kind of pitched in the current comics to see if people would like them, and then they stuck them in the movie.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So like the comic book characters and the Marvel like movie characters are one and the same. They're the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that is I think that's mostly comic book Thanos, and then what'll happen is his abilities will be closer to the movie Thanos, because the comic book Thanos is too powerful.
Oh yeah. Entirely so.
Like,
here's the thing. He's on that kind of... He's got that weird scenic base.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that you can see the hole in the base where it's going to pop out.
Yeah. It's very plain that there's a base that is a huge base.
He's going to be the, like, hugely expensive model.
Yeah. It's going to be like, I'm playing Thanos. And Black Widow.
Yeah.
Done.
And we also got to see, in some of these pictures, we saw Drax, and Drax was just a base yesterday.
Oh.
Because he's a master of stealth.
Cute. Very cute.
We're also getting a second Black Widow. We're getting Agent Black Widow and Hawkeye as a box set.
Yeah, so they actually call it out in the book that the same alias, so like Steve Rogers,
Yes.
could be Captain America. He could also be the Patriot. That's a character he was at one point. He could also be whatever, right?
He could be Hydra Hydra Cap.
That would be amazing. Although I would rather trade him out of MCP to put Hydra Cap into a movie, but whatever. It's never gonna happen.
Right? No.
Salty.
And then what other new stuff? They showed off the rest, and then they showed off the rest of Thanos's posse, and then we're getting Drax and the guy from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Oh, the bad guy?
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
Hammer dude.
Oh, Ronan the Accuser.
Yes, Ronan the Accuser, and then Green Goblin got showed off.
Cool.
So we're getting Green Goblin, and that's exciting.
Yeah. I'm hoping that we also at one point get just Norman Osborn as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, that'd be sick.
From Dark Reign.
That would be sick, yeah.
Yeah, because Green Goblin is Norman Osborn.
Yes.
Depending on the time period. At this point, I think Norman Osborn dead, and there's still a Green Goblin.
There's been normally it's like either it's Norman Osborn or he's died and it's his son, right?
Yeah, or it's his son who's the Hobgoblin.
Yes.
But
there's a period where he's not he's Green Goblin and not Hobgoblin, right?
Yeah.
Or there's versions
also
of that
time
story
periods. There was a whole time period where both of those characters were out, and there was still a Hobgoblin, and people were like, "The hell." And it was like a whole year where Hobgoblin was running around like killing minor characters, like doing whatever the heck he wanted. He kept stealing people's gadgets. I think at one point like Taskmaster becomes Hobgoblin for like a job.
That's amazing.
Because he's Taskmaster.
Yeah, right.
I can't wait to see Taskmaster in this game. If Taskmaster doesn't show up in this game, I'm gonna be annoyed.
Yeah, but also it's exciting. He's not on the docket yet, but they're also going through like more major characters right now.
Yeah. Right, like Taskmaster is not a major character.
No.
He shows up in the Spider-Man video game for like 5 minutes.
Yep.
And I was happy with that. Because you can't really massively put him into like, and here's the thing, like, what I would love to see is Taskmaster Deadpool Cable, because they were on a team at one point.
Yeah.
And to have them be a team.
Deadpool team.
Yeah.
Just like stick Gwenpool in it. Just like, yeah. Gwenpool is also here.
Yeah, because why not?
Deadpool and her just getting it. Also, I think if I remember correctly, Gwenpool, the character, actually just hates Deadpool, like his comics.
Oh, she doesn't. Yeah, she hates the Deadpool comics because she doesn't like the fact that he breaks the fourth.
And then like, oh, okay, I showed up and my powers are that I break the fourth wall because I'm a
fourth wall. Yeah,
I'm a human being in the comic universe.
Yeah, it's weird. There's also Lady Deadpool, who's even more insane than regular Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like, literally just bat-ish insane.
Yep.
Like, completely fangirls everything.
Yep. All right.
MCP is going to be fun.
Yes, MCP is going to be a lot of fun. We'll probably do... I do want to do, now that or not nominally, but, like, we have actually started the scrum, I want to... Oh, right, that's what I'm supposed to do tonight, after we finish recording. But I do want to do an episode talking about our lists for the scrum, and kind of, how we feel about War Machine lists right now.
Yeah, I'm behind on the meta, man.
Yeah, I am too. Well, I haven't seen much from the meta, and we'll see.
Yeah, and like I've got like my Vlad 3 and Harvey pairing, and I'm increasingly like, wow, like how often am I going to be able to play Vlad 3 versus how often does Vlad 3 become? Oh, what's the threat on that Vlad 3 list? Oh, like 18 inches. Oh.
Yeah.
And then I have to drop Harvey because I just can't take the end. I can't take the hammer that the opposing list is.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else? Thank you, everyone, for watching. This has been Top O Tables presents Talk O Table. hit us up on Facebook, on our Discord, on our YouTube, etc. Consider giving us a follow. Consider leaving comments on the YouTube, subscribing to our YouTube. We post the VODs there until we can get. We need to get a little bit more content out before they'll let us onto iTunes. Sadly,
Yeah.
but yeah, just give us your engagement so we can grow and do good, and maybe then we'll have some incentives. Also, we have a Patreon if you want to give a little bit of money. $1 a month gets you cool colors on our Discord. I think $5 a month gives you access to our it gives you access to our show notes and the work in progress for the comedy skits we're working on.
Yep.
And if you want to go crazy, $50 a month means that every other month we paint a model and send it to you.
Yep.
Cheap model.
And it will be display quality, by the way. It will
Yes.
be like a very pretty model that you can put onto your... Because I'll be the one painting it.
Yes. So we... $100 for a pro-painted $40 or less model.
Yep. Which is about what you'd be paying for just getting it commission painted.
Yes.
So,
and you do get to choose the model.
It's really not.
It's not random.
That big of a deal.
You get to choose the model.
Yep.
So. Yeah. Okay. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.